Manchester United smashed Bournemouth 5-2 Saturday. Rashford, Martial, Bruno Fernandes all on the score sheet. But the real story, Mason Greenwood, the 18-year-old, scores twice as United stretch their unbeaten run across all competitions to 16 games. We're joined now by Don Hutchison, Shaka Hislop. Don, the final scoreline, very impressive. Just how good were Manchester United today?
Offensively, well, they're absolutely amazing. I thought Bruno Fernandes in midfield alongside Pogba was sensational. They're playing with so much freedom. But the three guys at the top end of the pitch, I thought Rashford played with a smile on his face. He had loads of energy. His quality was there. Martial scored probably his best ever goal in a Man United shirt. But the big story was Mason Greenwood. I mean, this kid looks like an absolute superstar. Every now and again, you come across a player and you think this kid is ready. And he's not only ready for Man United. If I was Gareth Southgate, I'd be fast-tracking this kid into the squads, the future England squads, and getting this kid ready for the Euros.
Shaka, before we speak any more about Mason Greenwood, just big picture on Manchester United. Earlier this season even, they would lose to teams that they weren't. And when they go behind against Bournemouth, I could see why United fans might say, okay, here we go again. But this looks different. Do you think we can now buy in that this turnaround is for real?
Yes, I do. This feels different. And you're absolutely right, Sebi. When Manchester United go behind Bournemouth, you wonder, is this the same old Manchester United? And at no point did you think so. And let's be honest, up until the Bournemouth goal, United hadn't played well. They struggled getting out their blocks for some reason, and then Bournemouth get this incredible goal, and you just wonder. And at no point did you feel that this was United of old, that they didn't have this under full control, and as sluggish as started as it was, nobody seemed to panic. And you see how the game turned around. That speaks to the new United, which for me is more impressive than the scoreline would suggest.
Don, speaking of turnarounds, Anthony Martial, I mean, just a worldie of a goal. The knock with Martial is always, though, his consistency. I think he's got 4 goals, though, since the restart. Mm-hmm. Are you convinced that he can be the guy to lead the line, or at least partially lead the line for United?
It's a good question, because I think probably United fans are asking the same thing, because the Anthony Martial that I've seen this season, I don't think you could trust him. I go back to the games against Sheffield United when United drew 3-3 but only really played for 7 minutes. There was other games, the Bournemouth game in the driving rain and the sleet, and he didn't really fancy it. And there were so many occasions at the start of the season where I think for me, when I criticise Anthony Martial, I only criticise him for one reason, because he's got the talent, and I need to see it more often because his ability's there. He's got all the tools to be a fantastic player. But sometimes in his demeanour, he seems a little bit quiet. It doesn't seem as though he wants to push himself. I think it's all to do with Bruno Fernandes coming through the door. I think he's raised the bar inside the dressing room on a weekday and certainly on a match day. And I think Paul Pogba's risen to the challenge. I think Marcus Rashford knows he's going to get service. And I think Martial is in the same boat. They're looking behind him and they're thinking, wow, we've got Paul Pogba playing as an 8 and we've got Bruno Fernandes playing as an 8/10. The chances are going to come. So Martial just has to keep making the runs.
Right, Shaka, let's dive in on Mason Greenwood, 18 years old, 2 goals. We've seen flashes in the past, but this really felt like a coming out party. You think he's good enough to start consistently for this Manchester United team?
I do. There's no question, and I'm building on what Don said about Greenwood earlier. There's simply no question that Mason Greenwood is one of the most talented players coming out of the academy for some time and deserves his starting position. The only uncertainty around Greenwood is that he's 18 years old. And we've seen this time and time again. We've spoken about it. As a teenager, you are inevitably going to have these ups and these downs. Right now, his ups show how good a player he is. We'll have to endure those downs. But that's just a part of being a teenager and rising to the consistent levels that are needed in the Premier League. That's not meant as a knock on Greenwood in any fashion. That's just meant as a let's just pump our brakes a little bit and remember how all teenagers develop in this game.
Don, earlier in this segment, you were salivating over Greenwood, yet Manchester United reportedly coming to terms, personal terms, with Jadon Sancho. Do they need him, or is the front 3 we saw today good enough?
Well, it all depends on the perception you get from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. If he fancies Anthony Martial, then I would suggest they don't need him, Jadon Sancho, because they've got Marcus Rashford on the left-hand side, and they'll have Mason Greenwood on the right-hand side. Personally, I think when he develops and Shaka's right and he gets a little bit more experience, I think he'll end up playing as a 9, Mason Greenwood. So therefore, that frees up a little bit of space on that right-hand side. If you said to him in that performance today on how Greenwood's been playing since he's been on the side, even though Jadon Sancho is a terrific player, the back 5 worried me for Man United today. Every time Bournemouth went forward and they started the game well, and I was saying it in my commentary, this game at 5-2, it felt like it could finish 6-3. It felt as though the better sides, and even Bournemouth, played well today and created lots of chances and were taking shots from distance and scored good goals and maybe could have had 1 or 2 more. The back line worries me. So if I was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and I had 70 million, 100 million pounds burning a hole in my back pocket, for now I would park Jadon Sancho and I would go and buy a centre-half.
Shaka, if I wanted evidence to support Don's theory, I would point to the Harry Maguire nutmeg from today. Should United spend their money at the back instead?
Listen, if they are spending money at the back, Harry Maguire isn't the player I think that's going to find himself out of this picture. It happens. Listen, it was a fantastic goal. You take the embarrassment for what it is, but you somehow leave it with 3 points. That for me is a bigger takeaway for Maguire. That's just part and parcel of playing this game at this level. But Don's right. I think they have issues. I think right back, Wan-Bissaka is sorted. As I said, I'm happy with Maguire. I'm looking at the other centre back. I'm still not sure about Manchester United left back options going forward. I still don't think Nemanja Matic is any kind of a long-term solution for United as a holding midfielder, as good as they are right now. So there are other positions in the park that are more urgent in need of addressing. But if Jadon Sancho becomes available and you can afford him, and you can somehow convince him to come in, yes. And as good as this front 4 are right now, as settled as they have been, and we've spoken about it, Martial can be a little bit moody, a little bit inconsistent. Rashford has tried to make the case that he prefers to play through the middle. I disagree. I think he's better out wide. But what he starts to act up again. And then the bigger picture, when you look at United's bench, it's nowhere near as strong as Liverpool's is right now, as Manchester City's is. And if Chelsea complete all these signings that they've been linked with, it won't be as strong as Chelsea's either. The challenge for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is, as a player, you're happy to be a part of that rotation for Pep Guardiola, for Jurgen Klopp. I'm not sure that you're as accepting for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Don, real quick on Harry Maguire. I mean, the transfer fee alone, 80 million plus pounds, suggests he's an elite central defender. Is he an elite center back?
I don't think he's elite in defending, but I think what he is, he's a ball-playing centre-half, and he's very comfortable. I mean, it just goes to show when Victor Lindelof went off the pitch today and Eric Bailly come on and give that ridiculous penalty away, it probably suggests that he might be on his way out. So I think, like Shaka, I think Maguire has got a future at the football club. Absolutely. He's the club captain. He's one of the record signings there. But is he and the other 4, in my opinion, going to take United to a title? The answer is no, because City are probably 2 years ahead in their development, if not more. And I think Liverpool are exactly the same. But I think he's one that you wouldn't just call on today's performance and say that he got nutmeg, he's a bad player. I think he's got attributes. And if you get a real defender alongside him, then that wouldn't be a bad partnership.
Shaka, what was worse, the nutmeg or De Gea getting beat at the near post? The cardinal sin of goalkeeping, no?
But in theory, yes. That's the throwaway cliche, don't get beaten at your near post. But when you're that close in and you get beaten high up to your shoulder with the pace of the ball, that goes out the window. Stop picking on. Listen, I can pick on De Gea with the best of them. You just stop right now, Seb.
even in my commentary today, Shaka, even though the goal went in at the near post, I don't know what you're supposed to do as a goalkeeper when Stanislas was, a half a yard, a couple of feet, and he blasts it hard and low. I know people might say, well, he should have saved it, he's near post. And I've heard it from ex-professionals today. But I tell you what, as a goalkeeper, what on earth can you do? Because Harry Maguire should never, ever, ever be nutmegged and should never, ever be beaten in that scenario again.
Don, real quick, before we let you go, how did you sneak into Stevie Nicks' basement? What are you doing in front of his shrine to his favorite player?
Is Sergio Ramos behind me, is he? Oh, dear.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.